The music festival Woodstock took place in upstate New York on the weekend of August 15th through August 17th, 1969. These 3 days were filled with music and love shared between 400,000 people. Woodstock was an emotional and psychological break from the Vietnam War. The youth that was so active in the protest against the reasons for being at war were able to pause and celebrate the joys of life and art. Music and humanity came together for a weekend in a new kind of protest against the war. It was a statement celebrating life and love. Traffic getting to Woodstock was no joke either.
Not getting off of work till 4 o'clock on Friday, we were a different group of travelers to Woodstock. Route 17A was off to the left, and it was a 2-lane highway that was now 4 lanes in one direction. And this is the line we got into and spent the next 5-6 hours moving 10, 20 yards and stopping, and until about 3 o'clock in the morning when we finally traffic stopped. We pitched our tent, and we were actually being besieged by people trying to get some food.
It is said that 32 performers got a contact high from the crowd's energy, making the crowd responsible for the great live performances at Woodstock.
Friday night, in a light drizzle, in search of the stage and some music. It's hard to describe the atmosphere and the general feeling among people at concerts. It was much different than nowadays. The whole peace, love, and rock and roll really did exist, and it was kind of infectious, and it was kind of luring to concerts, and I think that's what made Woodstock unique. It was a genuine peace, love, and rock and roll gathering of young people. I always felt that being born in 1950 was a musical gem. As a child, I grew up to Elvis, Frank Sinatra, having a very musically oriented mom. I was influenced by her passion for listening to rock and roll, and it affected me. And as a teenager, the Beatles came to America and took over the world. And I slowly grew and evolved into rock and roll as we know it now. Acid rock, Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin were my favorites, the Rolling Stones, and I feel in my heart that music today is nothing like what I had, which was probably some of the greatest music ever created.
Jimi Hendrix was the final performer of Woodstock on Monday morning, and although he was the highest paid performer, it is said he sang to the cleanup crew. The motto of Woodstock was peace, love, and rock and roll. No amount of rain could stop that.
Life in 1969 was very good, and we had a very musically oriented neighborhood that was constantly attending concerts, and I also played bass in a band, and we attended the Atlantic City Pop Festival, and at this event we heard word of this mammoth rock festival taking place in Woodstock, New York, and it was going to be the place to be, and we were the people that wanted to be there. And I also consider myself lucky to have been at Woodstock, because historically speaking, this was the culmination of many things coming together, and many failed attempts to recreate Woodstock. The reunion concerts were pathetic in nature, and the reality is times change, and that time and moment can never be recaptured or relived. And I feel happy that even though I returned, I did have a moment, and I'm thankful for that. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.